passion. Oh, you be my touching. Good girl. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. I
morning. It's that day that we love to call FTG Thursday, and I couldn't get real creative on what I was going to make the theme today, but obviously we have some FTGs. We also have some props to give to certain individuals also, but it's just going to be a variety of things. We didn't really do much news yesterday because I got on my my mortgage and redlining bandwagon yesterday, and hopefully that was informative and enjoyable and all that. But today we're going to kind of get back to normal. Got tons of news stories. I'm going to touch a little bit on each one. Try not to get too deep because we got some catching up to do. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, welcome to FTG. Wait a minute. It is Thursday, right? I don't even know what day it is. Yeah, it's FTG Thursday. And welcome to the show. And we'll see you right after the intro because I got to figure out what day it is. Play the intro, please. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawgKnight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. And welcome back to the PDawgKnight Channel. It is Thursday, the 15th of July, 2021. 3 short days until my daughter's engagement party. And yes, we're almost done with the landscaping. Holy crap. We've been busy for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Putting in the new patio, doing a bunch of landscaping, planting a bunch of new plants. So what I'm probably going to do is make a new standby featuring our newly landscaped yard and, with the pool and all that crap and the new plants. And I do have an update on the flowers, my flower garden. Yeah, usually during the summer, my outro's full of the updates on the garden in the front, but now I got gardens freaking everywhere. We put in so much stuff, and so there you go. But I see a couple people are already FTGing to Joe Biden. Yeah, one thing I didn't cover his big speech on voter. What did he call it? Voting rights. He wants to call it voting rights. Which, it's funny because I go and look at some of these laws that are being proposed in some of these states. And it's funny because prior to the COOF, the stupid 19, they had voting laws, right? And then they kind of refined and revised and made a bunch of changes just for this particular year. And I was like, well, so now that we no longer have the COOF, what's the point of having the special laws, the special rules that they came up with just for the COOF? You don't need them anymore, right? That'd be what I would think. And I don't know why anyone would think otherwise. So now what they're doing is all these states that, are going back and going, well, look, we this may not have worked so well. And it's a little dicey once people figure out they can kind of do whatever they want. So they're saying, okay, well, let's put some laws together. We're going to take some of these new ideas. We're going to expand some of the time that we vote, or expand the number of days. We're not going to go crazy like we did during stupid 19 because we don't have to do that anymore. Let's have a reasonable voting period. And we're going to make some laws. We're going to put it in paper and all that stuff. And then you get the impromptu filibuster like the Texas Democrats have done, which for all practical purposes is a filibuster. And I laugh because aren't the Democrats in Congress trying to get rid of the filibuster? And then they're cheering these jackholes who decided to up and leave Texas, breaking their local laws on that kind of stuff. And I just go, well, it's just par for the course. Hypocrite from that side of the aisle. Not that the people on my side of the aisle are always pristine and perfect, but damn. Sometimes you got to go, What the hell? What the hell? There's a serious bit of hypocrisy going on there, right? Is it just me? Wait, what the hell was that? Holy crap, what am I doing? Wait a minute, hang on a second here. I'm trying to, I'm also, what the hell did I do? There we go. So anyway, I find it fascinating how that all seems to be working out. Anyway, let's do this. Obviously I am trying to do something on my computer as we talk, because I did not tweet out the show, and so I'm just gonna put it on Twitter today. I'm not gonna put it on all the media hubs there, because it just takes too many clicks and I don't get to pay attention to what I'm doing. Besides, I gotta say good morning to the people in my chat. So let's do this. Click, copy, paste, and poof. There we go on Twitter. Let's say good morning to everyone in the chat today. The people who are here early, people got here. Johnny on the spot. 22 people already in the house. Though 23 already, and 13 likes. Hit the like button sometime during the show. Just a reminder. But anyway, first in the chat today was Mike Savage Blurg, and you get the bell. Thank you for being here. Right, Johnny on the spot, and also good morning, Jonathan Peterson, Select a Boy, also boy. Advocatus Diaboli, DI Freighter Watcher, Small Man's in the house. Nice to see you. Good morning to Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And also good morning, Tyler F. Jada Demeril, Attack Alpaca. Nice to see you all. Lord Stanhope's in the house. Nice to see you too. Also good morning, Molly Mags. And what did I do there? Oh, Infamous One, Aaron Meredith. Nice to see you guys. MC is in the house.
Stop. Hammer time.
Thank you for being here, of course. Also, good morning, King on Common Law. Also, who else is here? Why Are You So Angry is in the house. Nice to see you. Oh boy, and stand up. You're saying FTG to all the agencies. They're all out there wreaking havoc. Also, good morning, Dumb Beard. Nice to see you back. James PFP, and that looks like everyone in the chat so far. I'm sure there's more of you here. Green Badger Outdoors in the house too. Nice to have you back once again. All right, let's like I said, I got a whole bunch of stuff to get to, and it's mostly just kind of getting caught up on the news from yesterday, but there will certainly be I'm sure there's plenty of FTGs to go around. Now, real quick, I'm going to take a quick peek at, oh, good Lord. I'm just going to see what's top news, breaking news on Twitter. Now, this is funny because I've been looking at, and I got more on this one later, but this was the top of what's happening in the world on Twitter today. Biden's door-to-door vaccination effort is an education initiative for community leaders to inform others on inoculation efforts, fact checkers say. On July 6th, President Joe Biden said in a press briefing that we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors to get help from the remaining people protected. Get the remaining people protected from the virus. The proposed door-to-door outreach effort dispatches local public health officials and volunteers to speak with people about stupid 19 stabs and how to access them. Associated Press lead stories and CNN report. Well, there you go. That's fantastic. It's just an outreach effort by community activists and what do they say? Volunteers, health officials, local public health officials, and volunteer. Wait, what? Hold up. I have questions, and maybe they'll answer. Oh, there's a what you need to know section. My first question, before I even look at the what you need to know section, how exactly do these public health officials and volunteers know to stop at your place? Anybody? Anybody got an answer for that? How do they know to stop at your place, or are they just going to go out randomly and stop at places? Because if roughly 50% of the populace is already vaccinated, that's what my understanding is. Wouldn't they be wasting a lot of time just going to every place and house and residence and door and whatnot? So they got to find a way to make themselves efficient. But there's a problem. There's a problem with them finding a way to be efficient. Is they might have to, and now not everyone here is Americans. I realize that. In America, we take our medical privacy pretty seriously and made a law called the HIPPA something, Health something and Insurance, blah, 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 Privacy Protection Act. Privacy Protection Act. We take that shit seriously here. And why would they even know to stop somewhere? Like, would they know that I've already had COVID? Like, is that something these community volunteers would know? Anyway, we'll get into that. But here's what you need to know according to Twitter, because they, of course, the CNN, this is CNN, and HIPAA. Yeah, HIPAA. That's right. Here's what you need to know according to their fact checkers, because, I don't know, the plan was initially mentioned in Biden's National Strategy for COVID-19 Response and Pandemic Preparedness, which was released in January and has been in operation since April. Following Biden's remark on July 6, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, with a warm little white cup and a little alcohol, confirmed that on July 9th that this effort will be volunteer-led. There is no evidence that those involved in the grassroots campaign are tracking people or asking for proof of stabs, lead stories, reports. Okay, not at least, well, the theory. It's HIPAA, I think, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's H something. I think it's 2 A's, 1 P. But anyway, so the AP fact check says U.S. efforts to encourage COVID-19 vaccinations, including by knocking on doors, as President Joe Biden said last week, is being mischaracterized in a number of claims that are circulating online. Here are the facts. They haven't made the program. So how do you know what the facts are? Whatever. I still think it's unnecessary. I just, you know what? Unless you're in some place where nobody's vaccinated. I don't know. Sorry about the yawning. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. That's why I have my cup of reparations ready right here. And that helps. I feel much more alive already. Anyway, so there's a little fact check by the AP and CNN, and that, of course, Twitter being, I'm pretty sure that the AP and CNN are pretty well versed at pumping out government propaganda, and obviously Twitter and some of the other social media companies are more than happy to go along, and that's fine, whatever. I don't, I am an advocate for people getting the vaccination, especially in particular if they are in higher risk groups. I think the jury's out on having kids take them and that stuff, but that's just me. I just don't know what the rush is on people who are 99.9 something percent likely to survive it if they get it, and that's pretty freaking rare that they even get it. So, just saying. So anyway, oh gosh, there's a stupid, by this way, there's also a stupid article about, what's this article about, there's a article in the Daily Beast by this guy who pretty much fabricated one entire article about Paul Manafort meeting with Julia Assange. Remember that story? Well, the same guy who wrote that story says that, they have some new information that makes it seem as though the Russians do have some compromise on our former president, the guy with the funny hair. And there's also this thing here that this Guardian reporting on Russian plans for the former president. This is far too convenient and reeks of disinfo operation. It could all be individually or collectively true and at the same time planted and fake. So in the meantime, I'm taking this approach. Anyway, the Guardian story is like, okay, so here's the Guardian story, and we'll just click here. Kremlin papers appear to show Putin's plot to put Trump in the White House. Exclusive documents suggest Russia launched a secret multi-agency effort to interfere in the U.S. democracy. So this jackhole is this? Yep, Luke Harding, same guy who wrote the Manafort meetings with Assange story, which turned out to be blatantly 100% absolutely false. And then he also was a big advocate for the PIS document. What is it called? The PIS dossier. Who's that guy that wrote the dossier? Anyway, the dossier. You know what I'm talking about. So much bullshit. And so, and it's funny because notice these weasel words in the title. Kremlin papers appear to show Putin's plot. And also in the Daily Beast, it said something about appears to show that and it's the same guy who wrote it for the Daily Beast too, appears to show that the Russians have compromise on Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm going to leave this article in the tabs for today. I would say read it with a fair, well, let's just say let me see. I was going to say an industrial sized dump truck, but I would say, have you ever been to a giant mining operation, like in northern Minnesota? There's this huge mine up north of Hibbing, Minnesota. Look, I mean, this mine, it's a land, I would say, well, kind of a strip mine type of deal. The mine is huge. It looks like the freaking Grand Canyon up there. This mine that they've been, getting ore out of because, Minnesota's a huge mining state. 3M, Minnesota Mining Manufacturing, and something else. Anyway, you ever seen the gigantic dump trucks? They're huge, big ass. I mean, let's put it this way. I am 6'4" tall, and I barely come up to the axle when you stand next to the tire of this dump truck. I mean, like my ears right next to the axle. That's how giant these dump trucks. I would take this with a big giant mining truck, dump truck, full of salt. Okay, this is the gigantic, just not a grain, entire dump truck full of salt. As you read this, it seems like an op, and you know how how we love our ops. So anyway, that story will be in the tabs, but I'd just say, whatever. Also in the news, let's see, let's go just through some stuff that some of the big headlines. The 2020 U.S. drug overdose deaths, highest ever at 93,331, an increase of almost 30%. That's some sad news. Humans are not robots. Lockdowns cause more problems health-wise than help. Preliminary reports and numbers indicate that 2020, over 90,000 people died of drug overdoses in the U.S., an increase of almost 30%, estimated with a very specific number. It estimated 93,331 deaths from drug overdoses last year, a record high, represent the sharpest annual increase in the last 3 decades, and compare with an estimated toll of 72,151 deaths in 2019, according to a provisional overdose drug data released Wednesday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That is a stunning number, even for those of us who have tracked this issue, said Brendan Saloner, Associate Professor of Health Policy and Management at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Our public health tools have not kept pace with the urgency of the crisis. Now, There's a whole lot of stuff that remember they were talking about how they were talking about the number of excess deaths in 2020 and in the current year, and how a lot of these things, like drug overdoses, like people dying from other diseases other than stupid 19. Okay, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. Thank you, DI Freighter Watcher. That's what 3M stands for. It's well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this out loud on YouTube, but I'll say it anyway. It's almost it's enough that accounts for the increase in total deaths in the United States this year. I mean, it really is. There's all these other things that are besides stupid 19, and we're not even sure if all the stupid 19 deaths are actually from stupid 19. We just don't. And so, in fact, there's probably a good chance that a large number of those are not. I mean, we saw that in the two counties they audited in California, that the numbers were 25% less than what they had originally reported, based on people who either died from stupid 19 versus died with stupid 19. That 25% of the deaths they counted that on this particular audit in two counties had other, the actual cause of death was probably from the other thing. They just happened to have stupid 19s, but they counted it because guess what? The federal government gives hospitals subsidies for handling those cases, and in particular handling cases of people on ventilators. And so, how you report them makes, do I want to be this cynical? Makes something on the bottom line. Anyway, Brandon Marshall, a public health researcher at Brown University, said COVID has greatly exacerbated the crisis of drug overdoses in America. The data shows fentanyl led the charge. Oh, yay. That's a weird way to put it. So anyway, you can read the rest of that. That's not good. Also in the news, Chicago mass shootings just fall just hours apart, creating a morning horror show. Shootings in the city this year through Sunday jumped 11% compared to the same time frame in 2020. At least 10 people were shot Wednesday during two separate mass shootings in different parts of Chicago, authorities said, prompting some lawmakers to shake their heads as violent crime in the city continues to soar. The most recent round of gunplay occurred just before 12:10 p.m. in the Gresham neighborhood, which has seen multiple shootings this year, the Chicago Police Department said. Police spokesman told the Chicago Sun-Times that a group was on the sidewalk when three gunmen got out of a vehicle in an alley and opened fire. 4 men and a woman were hit, the police department said. Okay, why would they only talk about 1%? Anyway, the woman I see one woman. The woman, 27, was struck in the hip, and a 40-year-old man was shot in the face. He remains in critical condition. A 32-year-old man was struck in the lower back, and a 50-year-old man was hit on the side. So these are older people too. What is going on? This is not like your typical. It doesn't sound like your typical gang shit to me. Anyway, the last victim, a 36-year-old man, was shot in the ankle but refused treatment at the scene. He later took himself to the hospital. The shooting happened outside of the Target Area Development Corporation, a nonprofit anti-violence group. Wait, what? What? The shooting happened outside the Target Area Development Dev Corp, a nonprofit anti-violence group. Audrey Phillips, the executive director, told Fox News that the victims were not gang members and were standing on a corner where people normally hang out and converse. These guys were not carrying guns on the corner like some do. This is not that group, he told Fox News. Phillips notes that groups like this connect with the community members on a personal level. And then the other shooting, let's see. The shooting came hours after another in the city's west side, in which 4 women and a man were injured just after midnight, according to police data. The group was standing outside when they were approached by a male who began firing, police said, and my it jumped on me there. 2 women, ages 23 and 29, were both shot in the buttocks. An 18-year-old woman was shot in the left leg, and another female, 34, was shot in the thigh and refused to go to the hospital. A man, 25, was shot once in each leg. All were expected to survive. No arrests have been made in either shooting. Fox News has reached out to Mayor Lori Lightfoot's office, but did not immediately hear back, so whatever. So the aldermen around there are not happy. And it's just, it's just nuts there right now. By the way, I saw a couple people. Good morning, Legit Low Talker. I see you. And also, Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadians in the house. Nice to see you. And I'm missing anybody? James PFP, Somnambule Nation, and I think I'm caught up. Okay, there we go. All right. Also, headlines today. The AP, the Associated Press. We already did this one. Well, this is their online reports mislead on vaccination door knocking efforts. So here are some of the claims that they're debunking. The President Joe Biden's administration introduced a door-to-door campaign to offer stupid 19 vaccines as a way to confiscate guns or Bibles. Yeah, that's probably not true, but either way, we don't necessarily want the government coming door to door, even if they're just volunteers. I know most people don't like census workers come to their house. You're gonna come bug them. Oh boy, especially in let's take that neighborhood of Chicago where there are shootings. Do you think anyone's gonna want to go door to door to you know what I'm saying? Just to go out and give information on the stabs in a community that is really skeptical of the stabs. I don't know. Anyway, good morning, Huggable Clay. BLM just solidified their support for communists. Yes, I think I have something on that too. All right, let's keep going because there's so much today that I just want to get through all these. And by the way, all these stories, all these articles will be in a single link in the description down below, right under the first paragraph in the description. It'll be called a 1-tab link. And after the show, probably before the outro is even over, I will have that updated so that if you want to go read the rest of these stories, or if you want to, check back on something you're working on with a blog or video or whatever y'all do, those will be available in the description down below. Cuba's youths are revolting now against the island's dictators. It's a New York Post story. This is an opinion piece, but anyway. Something wondrous has happened in Cuba. For the very first time in 62 years since the Castro dynasty turned the island into a totalitarian dystopia, Cubans have taken to the streets from one end of the island to the other, denouncing the repressive regime and calling for freedom, because they're all inspired by Kamala Harris. They can be seen and heard on YouTube and social media chanting liberty, down with the dictatorship and down with communism. And they can also be heard shouting a challenge to their rulers. We are not afraid. That chant is a taunt, a war cry, a rebel yell, and it's coming mostly from young Cubans, the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the so-called revolution. Now, it's fascinating. Like I said yesterday, or was it yesterday, maybe 2 days ago? Can we trade? Can we trade some of these people for the fools up there in Portland or any of the other Antifa knuckleheads? I'm just saying, they like the idea of freedom, and the Antifa knuckleheads like the idea of communism. We could just trade. Even trade. Come on, man. Anyway. I'm not going to read that. Just, we know that's going on. There's a whole lot of other stories about that. And in fact, now this is a weird one though. Because the mayor of Miami I'm not sure what he was thinking when he's talking about this, but Biden in action triggers growing calls for U.S. military action on Cuba. What? No. We do not want that. I'm sorry. No. But anyway, let's read the story. It's in Breitbart. A series of tepid and inaccurate statements from President Joe Biden. Well, that's not unusual. And his administration are meeting with growing calls this week for the American government to act to prevent the further loss of life in Cuba. No. Protesters took to the streets in dozens of municipalities nationwide in Cuba on Sunday, and some estimates suggest as many as 60 cities and towns rose up demanding an end to communism. The protests were the culmination of nearly 2 decades of organized dissident action in the country since the Black Spring of 2003, that last major violent crackdown en masse on pro-democracy voices in the country. Protesters chanted freedom and other anti-communist slogans. Now that's how the New York Times worded it, and they got in trouble for that. So be careful there, Breitbart. And other anti-communist slogans. Oh, I see. Freedom and other anti-communist slogans. Okay, I get that, because the New York Times said anti-government slogans. Freedom was an anti-government slogan, but they say freedom and other anti-communist slogans, making clear their demand was an end to the 62-year-old Castro regime. The Cuban Communist Party responded by issuing an order of combat commanding all communist loyalists to take the streets and violently assault peaceful protesters. It also shut down the internet for much of this week, making international reporting on the matter extremely difficult. A little information Cubans have managed to get out of the island indicates that protests have continued daily since Sunday, despite widespread reports of police gang beatings, assassinations, and deadly door-to-door raids. The violence, much of which is caught on video, prompted a wave of protests nationwide in the United States in solidarity with the protesters. Cuban Americans in every major population hub they have in the country have taken to the streets and urged Biden to do more than offer verbal solidarity with their brethren. Biden's administration has so far falsely stated that the protests are about stupid 19 on multiple occasions and has taken no action in response to the situation. Biden himself issued a statement urging the Cuban regime to hear their people and serve their needs at this vital moment instead of enriching themselves, without mentioning communism or socialism, the issues the protesters are actively opposing. So I think they're finding out that the administration here thinks they're worried about the stupid 19 and not the real things they're talking about. But the Miami mayor is the one who was saying that we should... what they say here down here, it's at the bottom here. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez made the most prominent call for U.S. military action so far on Fox News Sunday. Quote, "What should be being contemplated right now is a coalition of potential military action in Cuba, similar to what has happened in both administrations, in both Republican and Democratic administrations," Suarez said. And Republicans with Bush in Panama, they deposed Noriega, and that country had peaceful democracy for decades. Well, it had? I'm not really sure what the situation there is now, but had? And you had interventions by a Democratic president taking out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. That's a little bit different than... oh my gosh, that's a little bit different than taking out a head of state in Cuba after 60 some years of, our issues with Cuba. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, all right. Let's there's more on that, but you can read that yourself. And then let's see. I have a little more on Cuba. Secretary Mayorkas. Now, this was interesting. We read this the other day. Secretary Mayorkas closes the door to Cuba and Haitian refugees while southern border is wide open. Hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in recent months. The Biden administration has done virtually nothing to stop it. Yet now that a political assassination has occurred in Haiti and people in Cuba are protesting their communist regime, Biden DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is telling people from these countries not to come here. Adam Shaw reports at Fox News. Mayorkas says migrants fleeing Cuba and Haiti by sea will not be allowed to enter the U.S. Now, this is interesting because I know that we've, in the past, we have turned away boats coming from that region, right? But I think our policy is if people from those boats make it to land, they kind of belong to us then, right? They're kind of, I shouldn't say belong to us, but you know what? They get to stay. So they have had in the past, you know, the Coast Guard patrols do try to turn those back. But it's interesting that the way he says this, that those fleeing Cuba or Haiti by sea would not be allowed into the U.S. and would be either returned or, if they are found to have a fear of persecution, referred to a third country. So they want to send them somewhere else if they are seeking asylum. But that doesn't make sense. See, so we got all these people from like Guatemala and Ecuador, right? Passing through other countries to get to our border and then coming in and then saying, oh, well, we're asylum seekers. Well, now, in theory, international law says that if you're going to seek asylum, you got to seek asylum the first land you touch out of your country. So you would do it in Mexico or, you know, whatever the other countries are in between there. But in this case, if the next country is generally the U.S. from Cuba, right? Aren't there? I don't think are there islands between Cuba and the United States, between Cuba and Florida? I don't know, but so that would seem that they would be following the rule of law. Now, granted, you're not supposed to do it on a boat. You're supposed to go to a certain place and then you seek asylum. But the fact that they're trying to say that they will be either returned or referred to a third country, that's just weird. Now, I know that Cubans are more likely to vote Republican once they get here and become citizens, but these people aren't even going to be citizens yet. They're just coming to here to seek some asylum, and I don't know. Anyway, interesting, though. Now, some people were not happy with this. Michael Chance, immigrants who might vote Republican are not welcome. Please make a note of it. And this is Mark Hammond. Guess they don't think Cubans will vote Democratic. Ergo, they just don't have a claim for asylum. And this is here Ezra Levant. I think this is the first time Biden has ever said he'll turn away immigrants, let alone refugees. It's because Cuban Americans vote Republican. So, yeah, that, you know, once they become citizens, they often do, especially down in the Miami-Dade area, you know, and Florida, Floridian Cubans tend to vote for other than Joe Biden's party. All right, let's keep going. Oh, there she is again. Every time you open a Daily Wire, they got to put Candace on there. Now, critics have been very hard on Biden over the crisis, saying they will only allow people who won't vote Republican. Yes, we read some of those. The Biden administration is facing mounting pressure to act after scores of pro-freedom demonstrators in Cuba have reportedly gone missing following a rare protest over the weekend against the island's communist dictatorship. Cuban authorities have cut off social media access on the island in an apparent attempt to stop the protests from spreading and stop the world from seeing their response to the protesters. Biden Department of Home. Okay, we already talked about Alejandro Mayorkas saying that they would not take people in. But here's what Alejandro's remarks garnered from some of the following responses of critics. Donald Trump Jr. says DHS Secretary Mayorkas does not want legitimate asylum seekers fleeing Cuba to come to the U.S. despite his family having done just that. Apparently, he only wants people pretending to need asylum because those people will still vote for socialist Democrats. Hello, Chauncey Stewart. Somebody, Faithless too. How you doing? Somebody explain FTG to Chauncey Stewart. Yeah, fuck that guy, fuck that gal, or fuck that group. Anyway, Dana Lash, the administration should come out and say that they'll only allow people who don't vote Republican. That's kind of the theme that they're all talking about that. So anyway, that's kind of how it goes. Okay, and by the way, FTG Joe. I'm skipping the FTGs. FTG Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
And FTG. What's his name? Alejandro Alejandro, here, let's just do this. I'm going to give you the whole thing here. Copy. FTG, Alejandro Mayorkas, FTG. All right. Do I have one more Cuban? No, I do. Oh, yes. Now, the FCC commissioner is happy that Ron DeSantis has suggested that we help Cuba get their internet back. Now, this is interesting. I'm not sure, he says FCC commissioners laws DeSantis for pushing Biden to give internet to Cuba can get to work immediately. Brendan Carr praised Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in a statement on Wednesday after the governor pressed President Joe Biden to step up and act in response to the crackdown in Cuba by providing the Cuban people internet access after the island's communist dictatorship cut off access as it cracked down on demonstrators that participated in pro-freedom rallies or protests over the weekend. DeSantis' call for the Biden administration to provide necessary support for American businesses to deliver internet service to the Cuban people is exactly right, Carr said in a statement. While Cuba's communist regime is blocking internet access in an effort to hide their brutal crackdown on freedom, American enterprises have the technical capability to beam connectivity to the Cuban people and help power their real and ongoing struggle for life and liberty. I have questions. I have questions on this. So you mean like how, what's that thing that Elon Musk is working on? The Star something. So they're just going to beam down internet signal to the Cuban people. Cause by the way, did y'all see that? Maybe you did, or maybe you did if you're on Twitter. You saw the tweet by Brian Stelter talking about how authoritarian regimes shut down internet access. And I just thought, holy Nike's Batman, was that ironic, seeing as Brian Stelter and Oliver Darcy, the dynamic duo of unreliable sources, are literally on a campaign to get not just Fox News shut down, but they constantly are trying to get people yeeted off the internet, and kind of like they cheered when Alex Jones got. I'm not a fan of Alex Jones, but I'm fine if he talks. It's whatever. But these guys, to talk about anyone who is doing censorship as being authoritarian after all the shit that they do, I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Starlink. Yeah, that's what it is. Starlink. Anyway. Does anyone, by the way, any of y'all have Starlink? I'm just curious where he has that running. I know there were some beta tests going on in many cities and stuff like that. I'm just curious. Good morning, San, and good morning, Now What? My friend from high school. How are you doing, my dear? All right. Let's see. All right, let's keep going. Am I almost done with Cuba? Oh my gosh, how many Cubas did I open? I opened a whole bunch. Oh, okay. 2 more. Okay. Because we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter, the organization and their statement on Cuba, which did not go over well. But and despite the protests, the communists are still in control. Just FYI, they're cracking down. I know it's hard to get a count of how many people have been ended. But anyway, it's a pleasant fantasy. The Cuban people rise up en masse to throw off the yoke of the communists and their odious system of oppression. They bring peace and prosperity to their island nation after 6 decades of poverty and suffering. But then reality hits and the fantasy disappears. From Reuters, but another protest flared late Monday in the southern Havana suburb of La Guairna, where one man died and several others, including members of the security forces, were hospitalized with injuries, according to state-run media on Tuesday. It did not say what caused the death. No other deaths and injuries have been officially confirmed so far. Hundreds have taken to the street in La Guairna, shouting slogans like "Down with Communism" and "Freedom for the People of Cuba," according to 2 residents. The video footage seen by Reuters. Some started throwing rocks at security forces, who eventually responded with gunfire at said resident Waldo Herrera, age 49. I think communists have lost I think the communists have lost control. They won't have a solution to the situation, he said. The people are tired of so much humiliation and so much repression. Well, the people may be tired, but the government has the guns, and rocks versus automatic weapons is not a good matchup. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel tried to rally his supporters to defend the government. In an address Monday evening, Diaz-Canel did his best Fidel Castro imitation. Quote, "We are not going to let any counter-revolutionary, mercenary, U.S. government sellout, imperial sellout create destabilization in our country. We are ready to do anything, and we will be on the street fighting. The order to combat has been given. Revolutionaries to the streets," he said. But some people think the protests are significant. We'll see what happens there. But I want to get to this. Oh, by the way, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say FTG to President Diaz-Canel. There you go. And finally, Black Lives Matter, the organization, not the idea. Well, they're facing backlash after a terrible, insane statement on Cuba. Black Lives Matter, which is founded by Marxists, responded to the crisis in Cuba by blaming the United States for the suffering that the Cuban people have endured at the hands of the island's communist dictatorship. That statement comes after pro-democracy demonstrators waved American flags and protested for freedom over the weekend. By the way, we could trade for these guys too. We could trade for the people waving the flags versus the people who want to burn our flag. Anyway. The statement came after pro-democracy demonstrators waved American flags and protested for freedom over the weekend, which led the communist government to cut off internet access and crack down on those yearning to be free. Black Lives Matter condemns the U.S. federal government's inhumane treatment of Cubans and urges it to immediately lift the embargo. The group claimed this cruel and inhumane policy, instituted with the explicit intention of destabilizing the country and undermining Cubans' right to choose their own government, is at the heart of Cuba's current crisis. Since 1962, the United States has forced pain and suffering on the people of Cuba by cutting off food, medicine, and supplies, costing the tiny island nation an estimated $130 billion. Now, wait a minute. Okay, I get where they're going there. This is Black Lives Matter statement, by the way. Without that money, it is harder for Cuba to acquire medical equipment it needed to develop its own stupid 19 vaccines and equip for food production. This comes in spite of the country's strong medical care and history of lending doctors and nurses to disasters around the world. Yes, Cuba has the world's greatest healthcare. Remember that. They said so. They told you they did, and the United Nations will not contradict that. Let's see. The people of Cuba are being punished by the U.S. government because the country has maintained its commitment to sovereignty and self-determination. The United States leaders have tried to crush this revolution for decades. Instead of international amity, respect, and goodwill, the U.S. government has only instigated suffering for the country's 11 million people, of which 4 million are black and brown. Oh my God, they even know to make sure to throw out a race card. Well, I don't know. Let's just go FTG, Cuba, the government. There, how's that? All right, let's be done with that topic. Let's move on. So we know about the oh my gosh. The January 6th participant of the insurrection got caught with an erection. No, I mean an erector set that was not erected. Excuse me. It was not even erected. of the actually the Lego set that was not erected. He did not have an erection that looked like the Capitol. It is difficult to fathom a more serious threat to the community than a fully constructed U.S. Capitol Lego set. Yes, this is where the blockheads of the FBI are at in their case against the Capitol rioters of January 6th. Our fearless federal investigators seized, documented, and tendered as evidence against one Robert Morse of Pennsylvania all 1,032 plastic blocks of a set of incriminating Legos. But, and there's a big but, because I like big butts and I cannot lie. Anyway, it turns out that this blockbuster story was exaggerated. The FBI had to concede in court that the Legos were still in their box. Quote, please note that after a review of the photographs from the search, there appears to have been a miscommunication, prosecutors admitted, attaching a photograph of the offending toy. The Lego set was in a box and not fully constructed at the time of the search as pictured below. Now, oh man, as Miranda says here, phew, Christ is diverted. Oh my Lord, I'm going to get the vapors. Now, this is hilarious. Even that wording is a little bit deceptive. Notice they said that the quote, the Lego set was in a box and not fully constructed at the time of the search. It was in the box, not constructed at all, that hadn't been opened yet. Now, it's not clear why Legos was needed to construct a case against the rioters, but the farce suggests that the FBI is clutching at straws in attempts to get the facts of the Capitol riot investigation to match the hysterical rhetoric we've been hearing from the president on down. It is a travesty that dozens of suspects have been in jail without a trial for almost 6 months on non-violent offenses, but weaponizing the FBI to go after the Lego sets and grandmothers is perfectly justified, according to Joe Biden, because the Capitol riot was, quote, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Come on, man.
As he told us in April. And that's not hyperbole at all. Not a little smidgen or touch, a tinge of hyperbole at all. That's exactly the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Yes. It's not even the worst attack on the Capitol, but whatever. This week, in an inflammatory speech staged in Philadelphia, steps from where the U.S. Constitution was signed in 1787, the president tried to conflate the Capitol riot with sensible election integrity legislation being enacted in states like Texas. I've said it before, we are facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. That's not hyperbole. Since the Civil War. I don't know the name of the Saturday Night Live character because I really don't watch Saturday Night Live, but there was this character a few years ago, kind of I think she was supposed to be like a parody of a blogger, you know, and she had one line that is very apropos right now in this particular situation, and that line is, bitch. Please. Hey, Joe gets another FTG from me, though. Anyway, whenever Biden tells you that's not hyperbole, you know he's exaggerating. He's the Maharaja of hyperbole. It wasn't preposterous enough to describe Georgia's common sense voter ID measures as Jim Crow voter suppression. He had to make up a whole new category of racism called... Oh, I don't have the music for this one. Well, it's Jim Eagle. I'll just do that one again. The quote, "The denial of full and free and fair elections is the most un-American thing that any of us can imagine. The most undemocratic, most unpatriotic," before he said in Philly, before bringing up the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, he did that too. Most Americans support mandatory voter IDs to ensure election integrity, which Biden and Nancy Pelosi and his pals are fighting tooth and nail. A Monmouth poll last month put support for voter ID at 81%. Holy shnikes. Including 62% of Democrats. Are they all Confederates and Klansmen? I don't think so. Anyway, this goes on more. I'm going to skip the rest of this, but yeah, the erector set, the guy who had a brand new box of Legos, but there was no erection. So I guess so much for that. Moving on. Now, speaking of the January, this is a little more serious, though. The January 6th inmates endure human rights violations daily, according to a bail motion. A bail application for the alleged Capitol rioters was submitted to D.C. federal court Friday, claiming January 6th defendants have little to no rights in their daily prison lives. Dominic Pizzola, a 43-year-old veteran, has been incarcerated for 150 days and has been essentially shut out of his own defense. As reported by Just the News, Pizzola has literally been in a cell for 22 or 23 hours a day. It is impossible to have a free-flowing conversation with their client in these open cages where there is no confidentiality and everyone can hear the conversations, including prison guards, the filing says. The lawyer suggested that they will seek a new trial or dismissal of these conditions are not reversed, citing an intrusion into the attorney-client relationship. Indeed, dozens of January 6 inmates who aren't part of the general jail population share the same unsanitary nail clippers, have a lack of exercise, and have nearly non-existent access to showers, religious services, and haircuts. Despite the horrible conditions faced by the prisoners, they will not be charged with treason or sedition. What? Not at all? No insurrection? Because that was bullshit from the beginning. More than 500 individuals who were arrested and charged with crimes related to the Capitol riot won't be charged with treason or sedition. We already said that. Many defendants had been indicted for many defendants had been cited for sedition or treason, but as an increasing number of lesser charges are filed and defendants plead guilty, those accusations may never be formally levied. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because most of them are pleading it out. Is there more? That's just saying that as reported by the Associated Press via the Daily Wire, sedition charges are rare and fewer than 10 people have been convicted of treason over the course of U.S. history. So there you go. That's fascinating. Remember this gal? She was an impeachment witness against President Trump. Well, apparently she is now pulling the strings at the Biden Justice Department. Pamela Carlton garnered attention as an advocate for impeaching President Trump. Top impeachment witness for House Democrats is quietly emerging as an integral figure in President Joe Biden's Justice Department. Pamela Carlin's spirited testimony made waves during the first impeachment and former President Donald Trump. Now, the number 2 official of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, Carlton has helped formulate the department's response to schoolhouse controversies involving LGBT rights and voting reforms in red states. Carlin's profile has been eclipsed by her superiors and their hotly contested confirmations, once favored by progressives for the Supreme Court. Carlton has admitted that her left-wing commitments and snarky personal style probably foreclosed a judicial career. But those characteristics made her ideal for a movement when progressives are looking to Biden's Justice Department as a redoubt against a conservative Supreme Court and alleged attacks on the franchise. Well, all they have to do is pack the court, right? Because that's kind of what they want to do. It's not going to happen. I got a question for y'all. How long do you think Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are going to hold out on the filibuster question? Now, here's your choices. Put either how many years or never, as in they're never going to break on this. Because I think they both have said that under no circumstances would they vote for the ending of the filibuster, which they may be the only Democrats looking ahead, okay? Because imagine if they lose one seat in the midterm elections. There would be a Republican filibuster-proof chamber in the Senate. And party to just be able to get to 51 or even 50, depending on who the vice president is, and be able to change major legislation in this country. I think the Senate serves its purpose for slowing things down, and you shouldn't be able to just get things on a 51% majority. You should have a little bit higher burden. This is not a democracy, okay? It's not 51% rules, okay? Because democracy, as I've said many times, I don't know if it was Ben Franklin or who said this, but democracy is like two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. And we don't want that. We want a little more thoughtfulness that goes in the process, that things that work, work for both the parties. And that's just that. If the filibuster kind of serves that purpose, it says, it forces them to slow down. I don't even think that a majority, I think it should be a super majority on a lot of things that they vote on in the Senate. This stupid $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill or whatever that they're gonna get it passed through a rare reconciliation process. But I'm sorry, that's insanity to me. Anyway, let's move on. So anyway, do you remember this face though? Do you remember this face? I remember this face. Oh my gosh. She was a nightmare. All right, let's keep going. And speaking of, now we talked about how the Capitol defendants have been languishing in jail for 6 months, whatever. But here, half the defendants in San Francisco released without bail and have been rearrested while free, even though they probably get set free again. At first blush, this study of the California Policy Lab at UCLA and UC Berkeley on the effectiveness of the pretrial release program in San Francisco would appear to prove it's a failure. About half the defendants released without bail before their trial were arrested for another crime while free. 1 in 6 for a violent felony, and half of those released never showed up for their trials. Oh, really? I just cannot believe it at all that they didn't show up. But the data is from, that data is from 2000. Oh, wait, what? The data is from 2016 to 2019, long before radical DA Chesa Boudin promised drastically reduce incarcerations. According to Superior Catherine Stefani, the real significance of the study is the discrepancy between the CPL study and numbers supplied by the nonprofit San Francisco Pretrial Diversion Project, which has been guiding decisions on pretrial releases for decades. And here's the rub. Here's the point that seems like Stefani wants to make via the Chronicle. The CPL finds around half of suspects granted pretrial release during that 3.5 period went on to reoffend, and around half also failed to show up in court. Also, around 1 in 6 went on to commit a new violent offense. The data suggests this is a less shiny picture for the pretrial diversion project's own data has shown, which can be explained by a number of factors the Chronicle goes over. For example, the CPL's data includes offenses that were committed outside of San Francisco and outside of the pretrial diversion project's 90 to 120-day purview while clients are in their programs. The pretrial diversion project says that this other data is often incomplete and hard to access, and therefore it limits its data to offenses in San Francisco and within the 3 to 4 month period. So does it just me, or does it sound like it sounds like they were I'm confused there a little bit. Anyway, it says nobody can look at this report and say that we're doing great, says Stefani. It validates the experience that people in San Francisco are feeling when they are concerned about crime. Yeah, as a crime victim in San Francisco who felt completely hopeless going to the police station saying, yes, this car was broken into and they took this stuff out of here. And they're like, yeah, this is the third one this morning and that happens all the time. We can't do anything about it. Well, that just gave me some serious confidence. Anyway. All right. I'm going to take one moment here. I will be back, and so enjoy my short little commercial here.
Hey everybody, it's me, Marty. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I hope you're enjoying the show. The Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you have a moment, take time to share this stream by hitting that little arrow down below or up here if you're on a mobile. And please hit the like button. I know you like it. You're still here and you're still watching. And finally, if you want to support the show, you can do that through your donations and SuperChats, which are in the description down below. You can do that at Streamlabs link or at PDawgKnight.live. That every little bit helps. And thank you for watching. Now back to the show.
And I'm back. Okay, let's keep going because I've got lots of tabs open. We talked a little bit about the AP helping us out with the fact check on door-to-door people coming around talking about COVID shots. Well, there's an article in PJ Media that says it's happening. Biden is sending community organizers door to door with COVID shots. Well, corporate information, I should say. Joe Biden wasn't kidding when his spokesman Jen Psaki. Every time I hear that name, I think of a little white cup with some warm liquor in it. Anyway, don't do it. Do not do it. By the way, y'all, I haven't even looked. How many people are here right now? Right now, we got 35 people, 31 likes. That's a good ratio. Hit the like button. You haven't done so already. Please share the stream. Sponsor the show. You can do that several ways. It tells you down here. And if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. All right, let's get back to what did they say, Jen Psaki. Anyway, Joe Biden wasn't kidding when his spokesman Jen Psaki said the Biden administration would send people door to door to convince people to get the stupid 19 stab. There was a chill set down the spines of freedom-loving Americans everywhere. Many people took it as a threat. But now those door-to-door stupid shots salespeople are here, and they've brought backup injectors. What? Wait, what? Health and Human Services Director or Secretary Xavier Becerra says, we'll go to you. If you want to get vaccinated, we'll go to you. Well, thank you. I'm gonna pass on. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. And so they are. In North Carolina, health officials are using a far-left community organizing group to go to stupid 19 shot hesitant areas to educate and encourage people to get the shot. If someone indicates they'll get a stupid 19 shot, the organizers, who usually register people to vote for Democrats, call an accompanying health department injector to administer the shot on the spot. Okay, I'm not even going to read the rest of this because I have one simple question for the chat. Just a big fat yes or no. If you're sitting in your humble abode, be it your home, your house, your apartment, your condo, your townhouse, or your tent on the side of the road, and some community organizer looking folks come by knocking on your door and say, "Hi, we're from the government and we're here to help. We want to educate you on the goof shots. And if you're willing, I got this guy right here who's willing to just drop one in your arm right now." How would you react? Yes or hell to the nizzo? I'm sorry. Oh, good Lord. I'm pretty sure that I would say, you know what? That's great that you have that little needle there. And if you don't get off my lawn, I'm going to stick it right in your eye. I will go to my personal health professional and get my shot. I'll go to Walgreens before I come get some random person walking around coming to teach me about the shot and saying, "Oh, well, hey, you're willing? Well, why don't we just get Dave over here? And Dave, he's going to come over here and give you that shot right now." I'd be like, oh my gosh, hell. Oh, there you go. I saw the hell to the no. Thank you, James PFP. Hello, Spud Gun. What's happening? Oh my gosh. No. And I don't even, honestly, I don't have a huge problem with them trying to educate people. Okay. I really prefer not having the Jehovah Witness style, thing, but still, I don't care if they want to educate you about it. Are they going to have are they going to come by with pamphlets with like a threefold pamphlet, kind of like the Watchtower that the Jehovah's Witnesses bring you, and then have a picture of Dr. Fauci on the front? I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Oh my God. Anyway, that's hilarious. Oh boy. All right. Where am I at here? So that article will be in there. All right. I got to get through the rest of these fast. Speaking of Fauci, speaking of Dr. Anthony Fauci, the greatest doctor on the history of the United States of America and the greatest scientific mind this side of the hemisphere, Dr. Anthony Fauci now is saying that children as young as 3 years old should wear freaking masks. Good morning, Sinicky. How you doing? Biden's medical advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the most honest and forthcoming public health official in the history of the planet, appeared on MSNBC with Andrew Mitchell on Tuesday and said there was no doubt that kids as young as 3 years old should be wearing masks. Mitchell, to her credit, noted that children do not generally get sick from stupid 19, but asked Fauci what the spread of the Delta variant means for kids under 12 who aren't eligible to get vaccinated. Unvaccinated children are of a certain a certain age or greater than 2 years old should be wearing masks, Fauci said. No doubt about that. That's the way to protect them from getting infected, because if they do, he continued, they can spread the infection to somewhere else. Is this his own words here?
You know that children under the age of 12 were not eligible
he's
for
gonna say
that.
the guy just said. Worse yet, Fauci was being asked specifically about the Delta variant, which, as has been previously established, is far less deadly than the original strain. The Delta variant is more contagious, but as has been previously established as well, children are not super spreaders of stupid 19. According to CDC data, out of the 600,000 plus total deaths from stupid 19 since the start of the pandemic, only 331 were under 17. He's talking about kids age 3. Okay, I don't need to read anymore. It'll be here. You can read all the rest. But this is definitely an FTG Dr. Anthony Fauci. Hashtag resist Faucism. Ding. All right. Kids make a lot of droplets. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they do. All right. Now I got to really fly through these now. So here we go. Millions of Floridians, are going to die because of Ron DeSantis, according to the teachers union's president. Millions of Floridians are going to die because of Ron DeSantis. Yes, Randy Weingarten's at it again. The president of America's second largest teachers union claimed Wednesday that millions of Floridians are going to die because of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, was responding to DeSantis' selling, quote, "Don't Fauci my Florida," end quote, merchandise. So apparently the state of Florida's merch store has some shirts that say, "Don't Fauci my Florida." Disgusting. This is Randy Weingarten. Disgusting. Millions of Floridians are going to die for Ron DeSantis' ignorance, and he's choosing to profit from it. He doesn't care about Floridians. He cares about furthering his own cruel agenda. You know, okay. No, not millions of Floridians. She probably hasn't seen the numbers. Anyway, the state of Florida currently has 38,282 deaths from stupid 19 and a death rate from the virus below the national average. The entire United States below 1 million deaths at 623,777. So yeah, there will not be millions. I don't know. Their vaccine rollout went to the elderly and the vulnerable first, and pretty much the way it probably should have. All right, let's keep going here. And Biden administration. Now, I had never ever heard of this young lady, and if you've heard of this young lady, put a 1 in the chat, and you have not heard of this young lady, put a 2 in the chat. I don't know how many people would have heard of this young lady, unless you have kids that watch Disney Channel. But the Biden administration is turning to Disney actress Olivia Rodrigo to promote the vaccines. Okay, Biden administration, it's their new secret weapon to get young people vaccinated. The recording artist, who stars in the latest High School Musical reboot, met with President Joe Biden and Dr. Anthony Fauci Wednesday as part of their efforts to overcome vaccine hesitancy. Biden announced the actress's visit on Twitter, saying, quote, "Olivia Rodrigo is stopping by the White House today with a clear message to young people. Get vaccinated. It's the best way to keep yourself and your loved ones safe from the dangerous new COVID-19 variants. And boy, does she smell good." Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, aren't I? Okay, well, she does smell good, though. Okay, they're pulling out of the stops. Okay, never mind. Moving on. And No. So apparently this article at Issue Insight says they have kind of proof that the Hunter Biden art sale is an influence peddling scam. So art is notoriously known for a way to launder money, right? And especially paintings or whatever by Hunter Biden. I mean, never, it's not like he was this massive artist out there before, his father became president of the United States. But anyway, President Joe Biden's disreputable, drug-addled son Hunter recently decided to sell his art, quote unquote, which sparked a round of hand-wringing over the ethical implications. Hunter, you see, has no experience as an artist, and based on the paintings we've seen, he has no discernible talent. But Hunter's artwork, quote unquote, will be sold at, quote, a private and confidential opening, end quote, in Los Angeles, with the various pieces said to be priced between, get this, $75,000 and $500,000. Yes, you heard that right. Art, paintings, whatever, artwork by Hunter Biden you can get for a mere, just a bargain at $75,000 up to $500,000 for artwork by this guy right here. This guy right there in the picture. Yes, it better be some really good stuff. I better be embossed in gold. Maybe he'll bring. I was gonna say maybe he'll bring back those frames they took down. Anyway, the White House says the sale is perfectly ethical because the buyer or buyers will be anonymous. Oh, is that what makes it more ethical? Fantastic that they'll be anonymous. Anonymous to who? And oh my gosh. Anyway, as CNN reports, the White House was involved in forming an agreement between Soho New York gallery owner George Burgess and Hunter Biden in an effort to address any ethical concerns. Oh, well, I'm sure they'll get them all addressed and mailed out as soon as you can. Okay, that's not what they meant by that, but you know what? Holy shit, these people. I got a new FTG. FTG, the Biden crime family. There we go. Holy shit. Anyway, I don't know. There's a whole lot more to this, but you can read it. It's just crazy. And Biden also, here's another thing. Biden also taps the son of a top Dem donor for product safety post. The White House names the son of the AFL-CIO president to a consumer regulatory body. Oh, just, yeah, because they didn't give Joe any money this time around. It's just a pure talent appointment for God. President Joe Biden on Tuesday tapped the son of one of the closest political allies to an important federal post. Biden appointed Rich Trumka Jr., son of AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka, to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, which develops regulatory safety measures for manufactured goods. The AFL-CIO, the nation's largest labor organization, is one of the Democratic Party's most important backers. The union affiliated For Our Future Super PAC spent about $100 million to boost liberal candidates between 2016 and 2020. The union itself donated more than $1 million to Democratic candidates in 2020, according to the Center for Responsive Politics. And Biden's campaign received more than $39,000 from individuals associated to the union. So the White House did not respond for comment. Shocker. And the younger, okay, but anyway, so if you're familiar with Richard Trumka, he's been leading on the AFL-CIO, and again, is a friend of Democrats. And, why is his son some kind of safety expert or something? I just don't know. I mean, I have some safety expertise. I ran the safety committee in UPS for 10 years, and they could have tapped me, and I'd have been there. Well, depends on how much they paid me. But anyway, all right, let's keep going. Oh, they're still talking about the big lie. Joe Biden's big lie. This is a new he has his own big lie about Republicans voter suppression, saying it's about, and they're saying that this big lie is about busting the legislative filibuster. Biden blabbering about the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War is just an excuse to curtail liberty and to destroy voting integrity. Joe Biden and Democrats, urged on by the mainstream corporate media, are engaged in a dangerous theater of the absurd. They have made alleged Republican voter suppression a centerpiece of their messaging, like requiring some legitimate form of identification, which not long ago was compared to Jim Crow 2.0, but is now accepted by even most Democratic politicians who can read the polling on the subject. Then there was the Georgia law, which arguably expanded voting access, and now it's Texas, which is so anti-democratic it requires at least 9 hours of early voting during the early voting period, and requires 12 hours a day. 9 hours a day and 12 hours a day during the last week of early voting in large counties. None of this is real. No more real than Texas Democrat legislators claiming the situation is so grave that they fled to D.C. to preclude a quorum and thereby shut down the Texas legislature from acting on voting law. They chanted, quote, "We shall overcome." Now that is so insulting. That's a civil rights song, and they're chanting "We shall overcome." It's funny because, again, in Texas, then they had the temporary expansion of all these, voting laws because of stupid 19. Now they're just trying to write them into law, and they actually expand on the actual existing voting laws. So they're telling you that you're trying to suppress voting when they're adding more days to vote early. They're adding time per day. They're still using some kind of mail-in balloting, but you just have to prove it with an ID. It's like it's just they're lying. They're lying. They're lying. Let's see how much of this speech they
Lay
have.
things out on the line and honor your trust with trust. So hear me clearly. There's an unfolding assault.
Oh, is there?
Taking place in America today.
Is there?
An attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote in fair and free elections.
That is a lie.
An assault on democracy.
That is a lie. Hi, Devil Fruit Zero. Hi, Bosch Tube.
An assault on liberty.
That is a lie. Whoa. That is true. There is an assault on liberty going on, but it's not by the guys writing the voting laws, right? It's the guys who are encouraging the tech companies to shut you down if you say the wrong thing. Or this thing about how, you remember the other day? Hang on a second. On this note, the Biden administration, right? Biden administration. And it didn't click in my head immediately when I heard this. Hello, Rusty Shack. It did not click in my head immediately when I heard this or read this the other day. How the Biden administration is now going to put out a list. Wait for it. They're going to put out a list of various social media people that people who were charged in the January 6th riots, okay, a list of the social media things that they follow. They're going to put out a list, and anyone who would have talked about anything having to do with the elections, right? And I was thinking, wait a minute. It took me a day to figure this one out. And I don't know why, because when I read it, first of all, I just thought it was creepy and dumb and talk about, Big Brotherish. But you know what they're going to do? It's going to be like a purge list. Kind of less, it'll be like the social media purge list. They already got rid of, remember they got rid of Alex Jones, and a lot of people were like, well, he's kind of a crackpot. I could see maybe they gave him blah, 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 blah. But now they're going to put out a list of people that the people from the January 6th, the people they've arrested, that they follow on social media that may have had questions about the election. This is just one of those things. Now, so imagine when they put out this list and there's, people on there. And so these social media companies, are they going to be pressured to dump these people? And these could be people who just made an innocuous statement about it. Maybe not even giving you a solid, this was fucked up kind of thing, right? That's some scary shit, because guess what? Guess what? It's not the government trying to censor anybody, right? Oh, and they put out a list. Just because they put out this list, the tech companies can pick and choose who they're going to remove from their platforms because they're private companies, right? This is some... what's the word for this? When the government and the corporations kind of get together to do the plans that they can't do without each other, or whatever they can't legally do. This is, oh my God. This is not good. It's not good. It's not good.
You know the thing.
Anyway, let's finish with Ding Dong here.
An assault on who we are.
Is it, Joe?
Who we are as Americans.
No hyperbole
Or make
here.
no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Bullies and merchants of fear, peddlers of lies, are threatening the very foundation of our country.
How much Adderall do you think he took before he did this speech? I'm curious. Anyway.
Gives me no pleasure to say this.
Oh, doesn't it? Oh, wait.
But my entire career I never have to say it. But I swore an oath to you, to God, to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. That's an oath that forms a sacred trust to defend America against all threats, both foreign and domestic.
Ooh, and domestic. So, if you didn't vote for Joe Biden, you're one of the domestic enemies. I'm trying to keep this quiet because, you get in trouble for this kind of shit on YouTube. Oh, and the people love that. Woo-hoo! Okay.
The assault on free and fair elections is just such a threat, literally. I've said it before.
Literally.
We're facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. It's not
That's... And his next line, that's not hyperbole.
The Confederates back then never breached the Capitol. As insurrectionists
Oh.
did on January the 6th.
Oh my God. The Confederates never breached the Capitol as the insurrectionists did on January 6th. Oh yeah, the great selfie insurrection. Armed with cameras and flags and occasional flagpole. Oh my God. Anyway. So, yeah. All right. Now the ones I'm not going to get to because we're out of time here. What is Biden's over-the-top voting rights rhetoric really about? This is a good one to read, but I'm going to leave it for you in the tab below in the Federalist today. Good article. But again, I'm not going to even preview it for you right now, but that's in the tabs also. Now, can the fleeing Democrats from Texas really face punishment? Well, Yeah, they technically can. I don't know if that's ever happened. Like, I know they have this law where they can arrest them once they step foot onto Texas soil. They can't from where they are in DC. That's against. It's not part of the Texas law. But anyway, that showdown's coming up. I still have to laugh though, because them getting on a private jet, a charter jet, and going to Washington, D.C. and taking selfies like this, all smiles and shit. Oh, they're so proud of themselves. And meanwhile, the Democrats in the House and Senate are wanting the Senate to get rid of the filibuster. Well, isn't this the ultimate filibuster, to leave town so you can't get a quorum required to actually take a full vote on a measure? Yeah, anyway. But will they really face punishment? Yeah, it's hard to say. You can read the article, but I'm going to say no. In the Daily also the Daily Caller today, Jen Psaki doesn't think anything about it is funny, as Ducey presses Psaki on Democrats fleeing the state. I'll actually play this one. This is just a short
about voting rights and these Texas lawmakers who have come to Washington. Mm-hmm. Do you know any examples from his 36 years in the Senate that Joe Biden just hopped on a train and left town to avoid a vote that he knew he was going to lose?
Welcome back. Look, I think that the president's view...
You know what's funny, though? Ducey asks a question that a lot of these journalists, these so-called journalists in the White House press corps, he asks questions that they would love to ask, but would probably get them fired. So I'm sure the White House press corps can appreciate Steve Ducey, even though they don't dare ask the kind of questions he asks. Anyway.
Is that these Texas legislators were making a statement through action
like
in
a filibuster?
opposition to efforts in their state to oppose restrictions on people's fundamental rights and their rights to vote in their state. That is why they departed. The vice president met with these legislators yesterday, and the vice president, and the president, I should say, certainly applauds their actions and their outspoken opposition to states to efforts to put in place restrictive measures in their state.
I'm assuming Joe thinks that the filibuster should remain intact then too, because he said that before. I wonder if he still does though. Anyway.
Maybe it is funny to think about it that way, but the president is talking about this as the most serious assault on our democracy.
I don't think anything about this is funny. I think what is important to note, though, here is that there are 28 states, including Texas, where there are laws in place or in process to make it harder to vote.
Oh, no, not to make it harder to vote. Just to put some rules on it. Doesn't make it any harder. In fact, in most of those states, it makes it easier to vote than their existing laws. And in most of those states, it makes it easier to vote in their states than it does in New York City. So, and they'll probably get the counts a little more accurate than in New York City too, but I'm just saying, I digress.
And it requires bold action. It requires bold voices to speak out against that and make sure people understand their rights. That's exactly what's happening here.
So does the candidate, who's now the president, who told people he knew how to make deals with Republicans, he's meeting with Republicans today, does he think that the best way to prevent something bad from happening, that he thinks is bad from happening in Texas, is for these lawmakers to be hiding out in a different state, or for them to go back and sit down at the table?
The president fundamentally believes you should work together in areas where you can find agreement, as he is on the bipartisan infrastructure framework that is going to help rebuild roads and rails and bridges around our country. And also that you should be outspoken where you have concerns about affronts to democracy. That's what he did yesterday, and that's what these legislators are doing now.
An affront to democracy. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's a terrible affront to democracy. Yeah, right. All right. Let's see. Let's lock that out. Okay. So other articles you can see in the tabs today. Lincoln Project advisor says Republicans will carry out a 9/11 if voting bills are not passed. Oh my God. Pedo Central, Lincoln Project people will say that they're saying that they will try and kill people. Oh my God. They have no shame whatsoever. They are just so out there. Good morning, Gunfox 61. Also from the Virginia, in Virginia, Terry McAuliffe fundraises for Virginia Democrat who served time for underage sex. Fantastic. I think that it's very fascinating. He put his support behind State Senator Joe Morrissey in 2019, 5 years after Morrissey, 63, was charged with having a sexual relationship with his then 17-year-old part-time receptionist. And you just got to read it to believe it. Also, Ron Kind, this guy rented property to masseuse suspected of prostitution and human trafficking. This is who's this Democrat Representative Ron Kind, a Chinese owned before opening an alleged prostitution property on property owned by Representative Ron Kind, a Chinese masseuse lost her occupational license in another state after local police linked her to human trafficking and prostitution. That's great. Jun Yang began managing a South Dakota massage parlor in October 2013. Local records show within months, Sioux Falls police heard reports of females being held against their will at the establishment and launched an investigation into human trafficking and prostitution, naming Yang as the subject. 2 years later, she pleaded guilty to practicing massage without a license and left South Dakota for Plymouth, Minnesota. But when Yang applied to renew her license in the city as owner of Asian Health Massage, Plymouth City Council denied her application, citing a police background check that linked her business to illegal activity through reviews on illicit sex massage sites. The review states they had sexual experiences with staff or massage therapists at this location. Then Plymouth Police Chief Mike Goldstein testified in a council hearing. Anyway, so then she moved to La Crosse, and now her business is in a building owned by a Democrat. So, I mean, it's tough to have that guilt by association, but hey, dude, she's renting from you. You might want to do a background check. Anyway, Ron DeSantis campaign merch. Is this campaign merch? I know. Where's this shirt? I just want to see this shirt. Here we go. So this is the exclusive Ron DeSantis campaign merch, I guess, for, I don't know, is he running for governor again, or what is this? Anyway, Team DeSantis. Today, our team dropped exclusive merchandise on our brand new WinRed storefront. Trust us, you don't want to miss out on this. So is this the pictures here? I want to show you the one that they talking about. So there's Governor DeSantis, keep Florida free. And they have DeSantis having a beer with something. How the hell am I going to be able to drink beer with a mask on? That's a good one. Don't Fauci my Florida. Little beer koozies there. If you know what a koozie is, it keeps your beer cold. Here's another t-shirt. Don't Fauci my Florida. And so there you go. That's what Randy Weingarten was whining about. The National Federation of Teachers president did not like. They said she's going to kill millions of people because he actually has something that's anti Dr. Anthony Fauci. All right. Anyway, what else is left? Larry Elders is running for governor in California during the recall fray. You read about that. Ex-Harris staffers are terrified at the thought of her becoming president because she is a crazy bitch, or something like that. You can read about that in the New York Post today. Sentencing in Molly Tippett's murder case delayed amid a bombshell claim made by defense. The ex-farm worker convicted of murdering University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts will not face sentencing this week. A judge ruled Wednesday after defense attorneys accused prosecutors of withholding evidence about a nearby sex trafficking trap house and other potential suspects. Yeah, they're throwing something against the wall, and apparently it's sticking. You can read about that one in the Federalist today. Let's see. You're gonna have to watch this one. Joy Reid says making Texas Democrats do their jobs is like the Fugitive Slave Act. I think her hair hat's on too tight. I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. She compared legislators doing their job to the Fugitive Slave Act. Oh my God, I can't do it. There's an appeals court ruling on the Second Amendment. I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll save it. And then Rubio slams the Biden administration for inviting the UN to probe systemic racism in America. But did you hear about this? The Biden administration invited some kind of committee. I talked about this the other day. The UN committee on something racism and whatever human rights to come to review us about systemic racism in America. And Rubio says, why don't you take your sorry asses to Cuba instead? Anyway, you can read about that. And Iranian intelligence agents indicted in a plot to kidnap an American. Federal prosecutors announced an indictment against Iranian intelligence official Alireza Farahani and 3 Iranian intelligence assets who were involved in a plot to kidnap Iranian-American activist Masih Alinejad. And there's a couple other people who were charged. You can read about that. And let's see. And then Iran says that the Biden administration is prepared to cancel major U.S. sanctions. Although they might. And finally, the last one, pop star Pitbull calls on Jeff Bezos to provide aid to the Cuban people. Wake up, because this is about freedom and human rights. Pitbull is actually, if you know anything about him, he's a Cuban immigrant, and or his parents are Cuban immigrants. I can't remember which, but he is Florida Cuban all the way, if you know what I mean. So, all right, gang, I really got to go. I'm way behind, and I'm supposed to be somewhere in 15 minutes, so I'm going to call it a day. But if you've enjoyed the show today and you haven't already hit the like button, do that before you go. Also, please share this stream. I know that I say that every day, but my channel doesn't grow without your help. And although, well, I just got to get on the stick making more videos too, but we'll get to that. And let's see, tomorrow's Friday. We'll either I have a guest lined up, but then she just said she might not be able to do it now, so I'm not going to even announce it. If not, we'll have a call-in show tomorrow. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. But that's it for today. If you'd like to sponsor the show, you can do that through SuperChats, Streamlabs, and the other stuff down there below. I got to go. My name's PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.